The Pecron F5000 is a beast. It is heavy, powerful, and still somehow affordable. But not every Pecron is a home run just because it's powerful and affordable. So is this actually a good new power station, or is it another swing and a miss from Pecron? So welcome back to the lab where our opinions cannot be bought. This right here is the biggest power station Pecron has ever released. It has 240 volts and 120 out of one unit. It has a massive solar input, and we have been pushing it to the limits here at the lab since it has been released to try to find out what it's all about. And while we found some things that we wish were different with the F5000, we also found some things that we really liked. But before we jump into our experience with this, we will leave links in the description down below, as well as any coupons that we can get from Pecron to help save you guys some money. Otherwise, let's hit you with a super quick spec teardown to get you guys up to speed on Pecron's biggest new power station. So first up, this thing passes the tiny baby lift test barely. It weighs 124 pounds, which is a lot for a single power station. Inside this thing, you have 5,120 watt hours of battery capacity, and it's actually expandable up to 35.8 kilowatts, which is a pretty big system. In terms of inverter, you have a 3,600 watt inverter right here out of these 4 house plugs on the front. All of them do UPS, which is nice. But when you have your 240 volt plugs, you actually get 7,200 watts of output. And in terms of charging this guy up, you can plug it into a regular house outlet in your home and charge it with AC power. It also has a massive 6,400 watt solar input, which compared to the battery size is insane. You can fully charge this thing in under an hour. If you take a look at the rest of the build, it actually looks like Pecron's new F series. It's a really good looking power station. In my opinion, it looks a lot better than their old E-series stuff. You have a 30 amp, which is great if you're going to use this in an RV. You have your twist lock generator plug. That would be good for running into a transfer switch or something like that. You have 2 USB-Cs, 2 USB-As, a barrel connector, and an XT60 out. Always think that's weird when Pecron does that. Over here, this is your AC input. And behind this little door, you have your solar input. You actually have 2 3,200 watt solar inputs to get you to that total of 6,400. This has Pecron's newer screen. It's a super nice touchscreen. It's very responsive. It works really well. It has automations and stuff built into there, which is something that the older Pecrons did not have, which we really like. This power station works with Pecron's app. It's a pretty decent app. It lets you turn everything on and off from the inverter from afar, change a couple settings that you can't change directly on the power station, although this screen actually does let you access almost everything directly from it, which is pretty nice. And right now, at the time of filming, you can pick this huge power station up for $1,899 with our discount code, which when you compare that to the specs is an insanely good price. Probably the biggest thing that we like about the F5000 is that you can charge it with 120 volts while outputting 240, which is huge. And most power stations don't let you do this. Most of the time, if you're outputting 240, it will not pass power through unless it's 240 going in. So the really cool thing with that is that if you're running into a transfer switch or something like that, and you just want to charge anything you can, trickle charge it with 120, or maybe you're barely even pulling a load out of your 240 volt plug, you still can input that 120. It's a really big deal. Not everyone has access to 240 volt plugs in their home. So being able to do that makes a huge difference, and we really like that Pecron enabled that on this unit. We're used to seeing Pecron give you the combiner box where you have to have 2 power stations plugged in together to get 240. This is their first power station that actually even gives you the 240 out of one unit. So all in all, they did a really good job incorporating that into this unit. Next up, we really like the solar input on this. It's way bigger than the battery capacity, which you don't normally see on a power station. That means 2 things. 1, Pecron understands that you want to actually charge this thing quickly. And 2, it's built to work with expansion batteries and be able to actually charge up a power station with 2 or 3 batteries. We don't normally see big solar inputs like that unless you're on like a Delta Pro Ultra with like a ton of batteries that are designed to be underneath it. We also think it's pretty cool that Pecron included battery heaters in this power station. It takes 125 watts of power roughly to run those heaters, so it does consume a decent amount, but it's really nice because if you had this in a cabin, if you live somewhere up north, or anywhere, like even just in your garage in the winter, if it's going to be exposed to the cold, it can actually keep itself warm and keep itself from dying, make sure that it's functioning in those low temperatures, which is really nice to see. We also think it's nice to see Pecron is still giving us all the cables and stuff you need to fully utilize this power station straight out of the box. A lot of companies have sort of stopped giving you cables and solar inputs and all that kind of stuff with the unit, which is weird. It's just a money grab. They want you to buy the cable separately. Pecron not only gives you the 120 volt house plug, they give you the 30 amp house plug, which allows you to charge this thing even faster. And they give you your solar connectors and all that kind of stuff in the box, which is pretty cool. I think right now, because it's brand new, if you buy it right now, you get like a free cart or something too. And the last thing that we really liked was the results of the testing that we got from this power station. In our efficiency test, it was 84% efficient, which is like an A. In our charge test, from 0 all the way up to full, if you use the regular 120 volt house outlet, obviously that's a low input and a massive battery, it took over 3.5 hours to charge it all the way up. But if you go ahead and utilize the 30 amp plug and charge this thing with about 3,600 watts, it actually charges in 1 hour and 40 minutes. And in our idle test, it took about 52 watts every hour just having the AC inverter being on, which is a lot, to be honest. That's extremely high. It would last about 4 days idling, just meaning if you turn on the AC inverter and you have like a sump pump plugged in that runs periodically but not always, this unit just being there providing power to these plugs is going to use about 50 watts every hour. That's on the extremely high end of things. That's probably one of the highest we've ever seen, but you still get 4 days because it's a massive battery. So I guess that isn't the end of the world. It also surged really well in our testing. The 120 volt stuff surged really, really well. And the 240 volt did pretty good as well. And in the sound test, it's a classic Pecron loud. It's a very loud power station. It does have a huge inverter and a big battery in this little box, so it makes sense that it's loud, but you definitely don't want to run this thing near you if you're using it at any capacity. There is some things that we didn't love about this Pecron though, and the first one is that you cannot charge it with 240 volts, which is a little bit of a buzzkill because the most you can put into this is with your 30 amp plug. You can put 3,600 watts in, but with your 240 volt, you can put out 7,200. It's not really great for like a UPS or anything like that, where you're trying to just pass that power through and then when your load dies down, it charges up. It's basically gonna die anyways, you're just slowing down the process. So it'd be cool if we could 240 volt charge this unit. We also, as no surprise to you guys, don't like that this unit has no light. This weighs 120 pounds. Probably gonna carry this with somebody, it's so heavy. If your power goes out and it's in your basement or in your garage and you have to take this thing upstairs or through your house, having a light on it would be significantly better than having to also figure out how to carry a light around while you're carrying this beast. It is interesting too, because Pecron's new F-Series lineup, like the F1000, has a light. They finally started putting lights on things. It would have been sweet if they put the light on this. Something else that's weird with this unit is there's no 12 volt car socket on the entire power station. I get that it's kind of geared probably more towards being a home backup, but if you put a simple set of wheels and like a little extendable handle or something on this and a 12 volt car socket, this 30 amp will become a lot more practical because you could use it in something like an RV or a trailer or something like that and still plug in your 12 volt accessories and get it out of your house into your trailer way easier. Having to lift this thing is an immediate buzzkill, and then not having a 12 volt car socket is just kind of limiting when you're trying to take it out of your home and do stuff with it. So at the end of the day, who is this giant power station for? I would say this is a great power station for anyone looking to get into home backup. Like if you're trying to power your house when the power goes out, this is a great entry-level unit. It's affordable, does 240 and 120 volts directly from one power station. It's expandable if you decide you need more battery into the future, and it's not gonna break the bank like a lot of these other power stations in this kind of size category would. If you compare it to something like the EcoFlow Delta Pro 3, it's like half the output and battery, and it's $300 more than this thing is right here. So honestly, it doesn't really matter what size power station you were looking for. Even if you were looking for something that's only half the specs of this could still actually make sense for you because it's cheaper than a lot of those competitors and it performs just as well and has so much more power and inverter. So to be honest, I would say this is for anybody that can afford to get it and wants a beast of a power station for a good price. But like I said earlier, we have links in the description down below with any coupons that we can get from Pecron to save you guys some money. We also have our power station quiz, so if you're not entirely sure what power station you need, it's a 30-second quiz, gives you guys an instant recommendation. So go down there and check that out. Otherwise, that's all we got for you guys today. We will catch you next time. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out and stay charged.